Today we're taking a quick look at Canon's brand new zoom lens, the RF 10-20mm f4. Now there's a lot to talk about here, but first I'll answer the two questions that immediately popped into your head. Yes, this is in fact the world's first autofocusing zoom lens that can go as wide as 10mm. And no, it's not a fisheye lens. By being rectilinear corrected, featuring built-in image stabilization and improved image quality, and being incredibly small and lightweight, the 10-20mm is essentially in its own product category and is perfect for photojournalism, news, architecture, or travel photography. But let's start with that focal range, specifically on the 10mm side. This is obviously really wide, but it's even wider than you might think. When you compare it to a 12mm focal length, 10mm is 1.5 times as wide, and it's twice as wide as a 14mm. And when put in front of a full-frame sensor, like on the R5 or R6 Mark II, this allows you to get ultra-wide photos from a perspective you literally can't get on any other lens. And like I said earlier, this is a rectilinear corrected lens across the entire focal range, meaning you won't get that extreme warping around the edges of the frame that you otherwise might get on a lens this wide. And while an f4 is not the fastest lens out there, it's a constant f4 across the entire focal range, making it much easier to keep consistency when shooting at different focal lengths. Finally, it also features an incredibly close minimum focusing distance of just 0.8 feet. But what might be even more impressive, however, is the fact that this lens also features 5 stops of built-in image stabilization. You might not think that's necessary on a lens this wide, but for preventing distortion around the edges of this extremely wide lens, it is hugely beneficial. In photo mode, the lens IS works in conjunction with the IBIS on your camera body to provide up to 6 stops of correction. For video, the new algorithm allows for suppression of small movements, and for bigger movements, you can enable digital IS for even more suppression. The lens itself is incredibly small, especially when compared to the Canon EF 11-24mm. It's less than 84mm wide and is just 112mm tall with a weight of just 570 grams. It features a function button on the side that can be mapped up to 9 different functions depending on the camera, including things like AF on and off, depth of field preview, false color, or zebras. The lens is powered by a lead screw type STM focusing drive system. Yes, it's not an ultrasonic motor, but it's more than powerful enough to drive a lens that's this small. The glass itself is thoroughly coated as well. SWC and ASC to reduce flaring and ghosting, and a fluorine coating to protect against smudges, moisture, and other hazards. And while we, and almost certainly Canon, don't recommend going swimming with it, its dust and water resistance means that you can safely use it in almost any type of weather condition. And that's an extremely quick look at Canon's new 10-20mm f4 zoom lens. For many types of shooters, this lens is a big deal. By allowing you to go this wide on a zoom lens with autofocus and robust image stabilization, the 10-20mm will allow both photographers and video shooters to get more in the frame when compared to just about any other lens. And the optical rectilinear correction means that this isn't relegated to a novelty fisheye lens, but rather is an incredibly powerful and flexible wide-angle lens that professionals, documentarians, landscape photographers, and travel enthusiasts will definitely get a lot of use out of. But what do you think of the 10-20mm f4? Let us know your hot takes in the comments below. Seriously, we do read them. I'm Nick with B&H. Stay creative.